What's up, guys? Tim Little. Welcome back to TacticalBassin. I got a question for you. Is this the most universal fishing bait ever made? Reason I ask, guys up in Canada use it, guys down in Florida use it, guys out in California use it, different ways, and everybody's catching fish. So, that's my question. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about the different ways that I rig a Senko, the different ways that work, from power fishing to the lightest of finesse fishing, and everything in between. You know, this stick bait right here, it is a game changer. And that word might get used a little too often these days, but think, just for a second, think about how much money has been won on this bait right here. You know, I'm talking 4-pound test drop shotting. I'm talking straight 65-pound braid punching through, you know, out in Florida, out here in the California Delta. Talking 6, 8, 10-pound test, Wacky rigging up in Canada. Think of all the money everywhere that this bait has put fish in the boat and checks in your pocket. I love the Senko. It's arguably the best bait, the most universal bait ever made. So that's what this video is about today. I'm going to show you guys the way that I rig them. We're going to do everything between, like I said, but I'm hoping that this generates some discussion and some thinking. I'm curious of what maybe you guys think is the most used, most universal bait out there. But I'm willing to bet this is in the top 2 or 3. So what makes this bait so special? What makes the Senko a tournament winner? What makes it a PB catcher? What makes the Senko the Senko? It's a super finesse bait. Very light, comes in all sorts of great colors. But just looking at it, it doesn't really appeal to, you know, it doesn't really sell itself, right? It just looks like another worm. Few subtleties to the Senko versus other like injected baits and stuff. Like, they have a little bend to them. We've shot videos in the past on how to rig them finesse fishing, either your Wacky rigging or your Texas rigging. To take that, find that, roll it, and you'll see there's a very subtle bend to it, and you want that to face down so it gives the bait more action as it falls. It slows the fall. But for me out here on the West Coast, I fish this thing on 4 and 6 pound test Wacky rigged. I fish it on 6, 8, 10 pound test on a Neko rig. I fish it on 17, 20 pound fluoro flippin weightless Texas rig into Thule's. I fish it 17, 20 pound test Texas rigged, flippin pitching into Thule's, and I'll throw it straight on a 1/2 ounce to 1.5 ounce punching weight on an 8-foot heavy, super heavy broomstick flipping stick to get those big bass out of heavy cover. So this bait right here has so many different uses. We've shot videos in the past on 15 ways to rig a Senko. I'll link that up here in the corner. But what is the best way to rig a Senko? I'm not going to get into that conversation, but I will share with you the ways that I do it. My number one favorite way to rig a Senko is going to be Texas rigged. I'm going to take a 2-aught or 3-aught, 4-aught maybe, depending on the size. You know, Senkos come in 3-inch all the way up to 7-inch. And I'm going to Texas rig it. I'm going to skin hook it back into itself, weightless. And I'm going to skip this around docks. I'm going to flip it up into Thule's in that 2 to 8 foot range. I'm going to fire this bait out there and just let it fall. That is what is so special about this bait. It's not very intrusive. It's so subtle, the way it just shimmies down and falls, and the fish they can't resist it. So my favorite way is going to be weightless Texas rigged. My second favorite way is going to be finesse fishing. Now, 6-pound test. I have it Wacky rigged right here with a little owner mosquito hook. Man, there's so many things to talk about this bait. So right here I have it set up with a little saddle, and this is my skipping setup. I skip this up underneath boat docks, pre-spawn, post-spawn, during the spawn. I'll skip this up under docks when the fish are suspended in the shade lines. You can do it Texas rigged as well. If I'm fishing around grass, or if I'm fishing around stuff in the water, I will absolutely go with the Texas rig. I'll go with either the straight shank hook or the offset and rig it weedless back into itself. We've shot videos on that, guys. If you don't know what that means, I'll link it up here as well. But light line, 6, 8, 10 pound test. I'm gonna either rig it Wacky with a saddle or Texas rig for skipping. Now, if I'm fishing 18, 20, 30, 40 feet of water, now I'm gonna put an O-ring on there about an inch up from the head of the bait. You'll see on the Senko, it's got a smaller end and a thicker end. You're gonna get a Wacky rig tool. I'll link it down below in the video description with an O-ring. You're gonna slide it over, pop the O-ring in. Now what you're gonna do, you're gonna put a nail weight in the head. You're gonna push it straight into the head right here. Boom. Now you're gonna take your hook and you're gonna rig it right through the O-ring. And now you have a super finesse setup for fishing in that deeper water. So right there in the last 2 minutes we talked about 2 feet of water down to 40 feet of water using this same exact bait. You guys can play around with your line. I'm not going to tell you what to use. That all depends on the area you're fishing, the size of fish you're fishing for. So I keep it pretty simple. I'll do 6, 8 pound on my spinning setups, and heavier on my casting setups. So let's talk about some of these guys, some of the ways to rig it if you're power fishing. In the summertime here on Clear Lake, when the frog bite's not going and it's just kind of that transition time, one of my favorite ways to catch them is to put on a 6-inch Senko or a 7-inch Senko. The reason being, it's a bigger profile, it's thicker, longer, and it falls a little bit quicker, and I can still fish it weightless. I can just fish it faster. But I will just put the trolling motor on, I don't know, 30 or 40, and I'll just go and I will pitch to each of the specific tule points. You know, you have a shoreline, you have a little point sticks out, I'll pitch to that and keep going. And 6 and 7-inch Senko is perfect for that because you can cover a lot of water, but you can still get that finesse-y presentation. Texas rig, Carolina rig, however you want to rig it. You guys see this point? Is this the most universal bait? I'm talking about one bait and it covers all aspects. Deep fishing, super shallow fishing, it just, I don't know, it's something to talk about. But Texas rig, take a 1/4 ounce, 3/16 ounce tungsten weight, straight shank hook. Now you can flip tules, pitch tules, reeds, super weedless. You can fire back in the backs of willow trees and fish it like a normal Texas rig bait. If you really want to switch things up, put on a ounce and a half punching weight. Now you're talking 8-foot flipping stick, 65 to 80 pound braid, your super line hook, and you're gonna go hog hunting. You're throwing this stuff in the gnarliest, the thickest junk you can find, hoping that you can pull a big one out of that cover. And it works. You know, the 6-inch Senko, black and blue. I traditionally like the darker colors when I'm doing that. Green pumpkins. It works, guys. That is how I rig it. Finesse rods, I'm typically gonna rig it Wacky rigged unless I'm skipping under docks or I'm fishing around grass. If I'm fishing tules or anything like that, I'm gonna go Texas rig. I might throw a weight on there, and if I'm going to thick cover, I'm gonna put a heavy weight on there and Texas rig and go flip and pitch that. But that is one bait, catches giants all over the country. Canada, California, Florida, Texas, everywhere in between. So my question to you, let's hear it down below in the comment section. Do you think the Senko, the Gary Yamamoto Senko, is the most universal fishing bait ever made? Appreciate it, guys. If you guys have any questions, leave them down below. If you guys like the video, hit the like button. Remember to subscribe to our channel, and we will talk to you soon, guys. Have a good one.